So there's a story that goes around here in Bedford County, over near Montville, that around 1819 to 1821, depending on what you look at, maybe sometimes both, that a local gentleman from either Botetourt area or Bedford, went out west with a bunch of his buddies out hunting, and then some of his buddies went further away, and they discovered all this amazingly cool gold. They were like gold and silver and all this great stuff, and like, this is sweet, let's take it back home. So they took it back home on 30 wagons across all these different places in the Mississippi River and everything else, and brings it to Montville. Of all places, of all the places to hide it, they take it to Montville. And they stop at Buford's Tavern. Somewhere within 4 miles of Buford's Tavern, they buried this. And so they were like, okay, fine, it's all secret. Okay, great. And so then they leave, and then they go, and Thomas Beale, who's in charge of the whole group, goes to Lynchburg, and he's there for a while, and he's at this hotel, and he looks at this guy, and he goes, hey, tell you what, I'm going to leave this box with you. If I'm not back in 10 years, you can open it up. And he's like, okay, fine, whatever. So he leaves, and he goes back to like the Mississippi area, and St. Louis, I think it was, as he was going back to. And he's like, okay, no problem. Well, the guy forgets about it. So he's like, okay, whatever, just sits back in the back of the corner. And 25 years later, finally goes, oh, this guy never came back for this trunk. He opens it up, and there's like these 3 letters in there, but they're all numbers. There's like no letters, no nothing. It's just like a bunch of numbers. He's like, what the world is this garbage? Puts it back in the trunk and leaves it alone. And then like in the 1860s, a buddy of his comes over, and they're talking and stuff. And he goes, hey, I've got these letters. Can you check it out for me? And he's like, yeah. So he looks at it, and he goes, ooh, this is a mystery. Let me see what I can figure out. So he piddles with it and piddles with it and piddles with it. And finally he takes the Declaration of Independence, and he's able to translate one of the documents, which says, within 4 miles I buried a bunch of stuff, and it's going to be worth like a lot of money. Supposedly letter 1 says who's supposed to get it, where they live, their addresses, and letter 3 is supposed to say exactly like where it's at, like, you know, the rock, the turn, the corner, that kind of thing. So, but letter 2 just kind of, it describes what it is and kind of the vagueness of it. So in around 1885, they publish this article, this little pamphlet, and goes, hey, look, there's gold. It's called the Beale Papers. And he published this little pamphlet out there, and he puts it out there. But then, shortly after the pamphlet gets published and gets spread out, there's a fire that takes place at the printing press, so the originals are all gone. But it's been spread around since, like, so this mystery, people are still looking for it 200 years later. We'll have people that are coming to the museum, they want to find the gold. Some people just want to find the mystery. Some people want to see if it's just could it even be accurate. There's a lady that got arrested because she was digging in National Forest. Another lady got arrested because she was digging in a cemetery. We'll have people call up and they go, notify the local media, we found it, we're in Las Vegas. And I'm like, well, then you call Las Vegas and you tell Las Vegas. Like, don't tell me. And then I'm like, okay, well, how did you find it? Well, I'm not telling nobody until I'm guaranteed. And I'm going, dude, I can't help you, man. Like, and so then there's this reputation that the museum's hostile to it. And I'm like, we're not hostile to it. We want to help you. But at the same point, we're not going to help everybody who comes through, because we get somebody through about every 6 months going, hey. But the mystery has gone on to like national cryptologists, Smithsonian's been involved in it, like all this stuff. And the crazy thing is that I recently came across some newspaper articles from the 1890s from the Bedford Democrat that actually talk about this pamphlet that came out, and people were here looking for gold in the Montville area, and everybody's going, what the world is this guy talking about? So, nonetheless, I mean, Bedford County has kind of embraced it. If you go by Montville, there's Beale Treasure Road. There's like all these different road names associated with the Beale Treasure. Of course, there's Beale's Brewery here in town. And everybody just kind of wants to know, like, is it true? Is it not? I don't know. Probably the best book for it, though, would be A History of a Mystery by Peter V. Meister. He literally goes through it and goes, yeah, there was a guy by the name of Thomas Beale that lived in Botetourt County. Yeah, there was a guy by this name that lived, you know, in Lynchburg and did his thing. Yes, there was, you know, Buford's Tavern. It's actually right next to Locust Level, which is still standing in Montville. Like, so it's either true or it's a fantastic piece of historical fiction. I don't know, and I don't think anybody knows.